It's part of who you are. It's your part of your essence, and you can access it when you go into this stillness.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Food Matters podcast, your home for nutrition, health, and wellness education. My name is Laurentine. I am a filmmaker and a nutritionist and the founder of foodmatters.com, and I'm here to hold your hand on this journey to optimum health, transformation, and emotional healing. Hello, Food Matters community and family. We are so excited to be welcoming you again on this podcast for Food Matters. And today I'm happening to be in the European time zone, and I have the chance to interview my soul sister, Marjolijn. Marjolijn Loderichs is, hey girl. So she's actually been part of our life for many years, and she's been doing some incredible spiritual work with John Gabriel and some of our masters in this world. But I'd like to tell you a little bit more about Marjolijn before we start the podcast, okay? So everybody, let's listen up. Okay, so Marjolijn, you can find her on I Am Academy. She is the founder and head trainer of the I Am Academy. And she specializes in the different layers of our subconscious mind. So she's a master practitioner in NLP, neuro-linguistic practitioner. And she also, programming. And she also specializes in transpersonal coaching. But the best thing about it is that she's got a platform that she hosts where she can train the trainers and the students. So it's a place where we can learn more about our subconscious conditioning, our mind, meditation, and connecting back with ourselves. So welcome, Marjolijn. How are you?
Fantastic. I was so honored actually to get your email and be on this podcast. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much as well. I've been following your work for many years, and you're actually connected to my heart and soul in my home country because Marjolijn is from Holland and I speak Dutch. My first language was Dutch, and I have both my mom and my father from Holland. So I wanted to find out some ways that I can communicate with my subconscious through the Dutch language. And I remember Googling, how do I meditate, or how do I find guided visualizations and meditations in Dutch? And you came up for me, and I was feeling so much more connected with the powerful language of my first language, which I would have heard in the womb, right? So this is my home language, and I was born in Amsterdam myself. And I found out that you run an academy and you train the trainers and you help people all over the world understanding trauma, understanding how to overcome trauma, and how to live a deeper, connected life true to our authentic self. So I was like, I need to meet this lady. Here we are.
True.
So Marlene, can you tell us a little bit more about the concept of I Am and the academy that you started?
Shall I tell something about the history on how this happened at first?
Yes. Tell us how it all started for you.
How it all started, yeah. So when I was like 30, I got my daughter. And I was working for this big publishing house in the Netherlands. And I was actually doing work that I didn't really like. And I didn't really like the whole way the organization treated its people, etc. So I was really unhappy inside. But on the outside, I was always looking like this. So you couldn't really see how unhappy I was, right? And I remember my awareness got so stuck in the mind, in the thinking, that I was this whole ball of stress energy within, and I couldn't really function. Not really. I wasn't happy inside. So when I got pregnant and my daughter came, I got this, in Holland at some point, a lot of women who were pregnant, they got this pelvic thing. You remember, when the pelvic area is not stable enough, so it cannot hold your pelvic area together, and you cannot walk anymore. That happened to me. So I was, couldn't walk anymore, and had this craziness in my head, and it really was. I was so fear driven. There was nothing positive at some point. There was just this thinking stuff going on in my mind, and being pregnant, having a baby, feeling really unhappy. So I needed help. That's how I got into NLP. So I did that for 5 years. And after 5 years, I could still feel the same sort of fear driven mechanism within. And I wanted to solve that because I thought I would be a better mom if I would not have that. So I just did training after training after training, which became more spiritual, spiritual, spiritual. And after all those trainings and having paid 30,000 euros or more, I don't know, spent so many years and so much time on it, I still had that same thing. And at some point, I was so desperate. I just went inside and said, I need to know the truth of being. I need it now because otherwise I cannot survive this. I cannot live in this manner. And just my consciousness just opened. That's what really happened. It just opened up and I could see the truth of being, which is you are already whole. And the mind is the thinking mind, the I in the head. In Holland, when you point to your head, you say you're crazy. So the I is not here, it's here. And
Idiota.
yeah, exactly. So it's here. And I realized that. And at that point, I started focusing on the truth of being, which is in the heart, which is love, which is an energy, which is an essence of who you are. And that expanded and expanded and expanded, and it just took over. And the whole fear driven thing just dissolved through
Oh.
time, obviously. It wasn't like that. I just could see it like that. And then I needed to do inner work, and I got rid of all of that. I couldn't stand for groups. And now I can just do this and not feel any nerves or anything. It's just, the way
and
out.
s- and, and see, this is sometimes, our great awakening, when we do all the head work, we think about, we create, we have to do this, we have to read this spiritual book, we have to go to this seminar, we have to go to this retreat, and then we'll figure it out. But then sometimes we have these great awakening moments in our darkest, most painful times, and we just have nowhere to turn, and all of a sudden we
It just,
create
yeah.
that connection just
It's not
comes in.
necessary. It's not necessary, but apparently it is because otherwise we wouldn't create it like this, right? So,
Mm.
but from that point that my consciousness opened up, and I was NLP trained, so I knew a lot of stuff about how the mind works. So I asked my essence, okay, so this is what is true. We all have this true essence, which is perfect. And perfect is, in Holland, you have a word for perfect. We say perfect, but then we mean something you cannot attain, right? Because,
Yes.
yes, but this is not that kind of perfect. This is like pure, it's clarity, it's love, it's joy, it's abundance, it's health, it's all within. And that inner world creates the outer world. So
Yes.
that's what we don't know. Your parents do not tell you your inner world creates the outer world. So you use that energy and it goes through the mind, and your mind actually clothes your energy in all these frequencies of pain and chaos and suffering. And then in this world of energy, it gets returned to you. And I understood that right there and then. And then I thought, I need to tell this the way it is. So give me the help.
Okay. Hold on. You're going to get too far ahead of everybody because we really want to understand more about this. So, first, can you explain to us NLP? So, neuro linguistic programming, what it means, and how you use that study and mastering that study to then turn that into your almost like your own modality of understanding Christ consciousness and going into source,
Yeah.
and that you teach now. So
Yeah.
I'd love to hear how you got through there to there.
Okay. So neurolinguistic programming means how do you program yourself through language? That is what it means. So when you
Mm.
speak a certain way, you are activating actually your feeling world. So if I would speak like, oh, I'm so happy and I'm so excited to do this, you get this, you frequency within you that you feel like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this. So your feeling world gets charged with whatever your words are, how do you say that? Triggering within. So if you speak like, I'm depressed, I can't do this, and you will fill yourself, your feeling world up with this really low frequency. And what happens is in the outside world, you will encounter the same frequencies because everything is energy. And energy follows focus. It's like a magnet. I have these magnets here that I use in my training to explain. You just attract the same stuff. And it goes like this, and it gets stuck to you, right? And
Mhm.
you get this whole, that's it. So when you,
This is what I always tell people about the importance of the spoken word, right? What we say about ourselves, what we project into the world, what we speak out to our friends, our coworkers, our family members, is how we show up in
yeah,
this world. It's about
yeah,
what we attract.
yeah,
So that's why it's so important what words you use to yourself, what language you use to, you could call up your friend and you could be like, oh, I'm having the worst day because you just want to vent. But meanwhile, you're actually pronouncing that to the universe of
exactly,
what you are. I am, dot, dot, dot.
exactly,
And yes, you might be venting to your girlfriend and you might be, what girlfriends do to each other, help each other out and go, yeah, girl, you're feeling that because and then you're really just reinforcing that behavior, reinforcing that energy in your body. And
exactly.
that's going to attract more of that feeling.
Yeah. Because the feeling world, you have three manifestation powers. Did you know that? It's the power of visualization, the power of the spoken word, but the feeling is like the most important thing. Because visualization and the spoken word, they trigger feelings. And feelings, your feeling world is like, a harp. It makes music. Your feeling world is like a harp. So the divine self within, your true self within, when it plays your feeling world, the harp of the feeling world, you will feel wonderful. You will feel in flow because it's the divine working through you. But as soon as the full self, which is in the head, as the full self starts playing your inner harp, your feeling world, you will feel discord, which we call like negative emotions. We call them emotions, and then the mind starts labeling the emotions. But in fact, it's the ego, it's the negative ego, which is playing your inner harp, and your system goes, be aware of the source, what you're feeling now. It's not you. But then the mind goes and says, this is sadness. This is loneliness. This is whatever. And your attention gets stuck in that because the attention should be on the true self, which is in the heart, which is pure love. But our attention has got caught within the mind, in the eye, in the head, or negative feelings, emotions, or maybe a person you give yourself to, whatever. So
Yes.
we're like this little fly who got stuck in a web of threads of emotions, threads of error beliefs, threads of people, places, conditions, things, whatever. And you cannot feel who you truly are anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what happened. It happened to me really,
Yes.
really bad. Yeah.
And for the listeners that are wanting to understand more about what you have experienced, can you tell us about what you've gone through so that we can remember that we're not alone on this path?
No,
Even
no,
spiritual gurus like yourself
no.
have gone through the hard yards.
Well, actually, there was a point that the thing is, apparently, my feeling world was always connected to source. So I wasn't totally disconnected. Of course not, because you would not be alive, right? If you're not connected to source, you would not be alive. So it was still there, but it was so clouded by all this stuff in my head that I couldn't get up in the morning. I had, you know, sometimes I thought I don't want to live, but then I knew I couldn't take my own life because my consciousness would, reincarnate again. I knew that. So got stuck in this, but I don't want to live, but I cannot leave. And and it just got worse and worse and worse. So I got all these physical complaints and I was just crazy. I have to admit that. I was just so lost, very, very lost.
Wow. And for the listeners that are perhaps also dealing with mental anxiousness and anxiety and anguish and fear-based thinking, what would you recommend is the fastest way to, it's almost like to stop that, the monkey mind from going into those fear-based thoughts processes and speaking about that? How do we connect back with ourselves? How do we cut ourselves off from, it's always like time out.
Hmm. Well, you have to have something that's called spiritual discernment. So you need to understand, what am I dealing with? So how does this function? You need to understand that there's a surrounding, and then there's this body within the environment, and then there's consciousness within the body, experiencing the body within the environment. And then there's this consciousness experiencing thinking, experiencing feeling. And you have to understand that you are that consciousness. You are not the thinking. You are not the emotions. You are not the body. You are not the environment. So you start training yourself in feeling that awareness. And then by breathing, the breath is very important. Just go to the breath and start breathing and start feeling the heart and being here. And then using the power of the spoken word. I got, this book. You know this book probably, right? Did you buy that one? This is the translated
Yes,
version of this one.
the
This,
English one.
yeah, the
Yes.
English one is Instant Healing by Dr. Susan Shumsky. This came on my path, and this actually helped me to speak the words my body and my mind and this whole system needed in order to heal. Because the mind was only my I in the head, the full self, we call it the full self. The full self in my head was constantly speaking negativity. So it's no wonder I started feeling that bad. So I started doing this, the breathing, the focusing on this. And
Okay, when
then
you say this, just can you explain to the readers the name of the book, the title, and
instant healing. Yeah, it's instant healing. And this book contains 243 affirmations and treatments. And when you speak these words, what happens is you start to feel the truth of them eventually, maybe not at first. Because one of the first prayer is this: I am in control. I am one with God. I am the only authority in my life. I am divinely protected by the light of my being. I close off my aura and body of light to the lower astral levels of mind. And I now open to the I am that I am. And then you breathe in. Yeah. And then you breathe out. But the funny thing is, when you say this, I am in control. Are you really? I am one with God. Are you really? I'm the only authority in my life. I want chocolate. Right? Seriously, like that. I want chocolate. I want chocolate. Doing the prayer or thinking of, I have to do groceries while doing the prayer. And so you see yourself not accepting those words. No, you're not in
right.
control. Your boss is in control, or your partner is in control, or your children are in control. You get to see where you are not your authentic self. So those speaking those words, they give you insight in how you organize your life and how you are as a person, in connection to the world around you. It's so funny because I had that so many times, like doing that prayer. The light of God surrounds me, and I heard in my head, yeah, right. Because I was an atheist. The light of God surrounds me. Where? Right? The love of God enfolds me. At first when I started speaking those words, my whole system was just no, 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 no God, nothing, no, no, no. So you have this prayer, which is actually healing religious brainwashing. I had to do that a lot of times in order to accept the word God as it is. It's your
Yes.
true self. It's your authentic self. You are part of that. I didn't understand that. I could not feel that. But, this work has made me feel that. It's true. We are part of Source, which is unconditional love. That's who we are.
Wow.
Yeah, that's who we
So powerful. So yeah, that's what it is. It's our subconscious mind, and this ego that will then, put these seeds of doubt into our life. So we feel like we're so connected with what we want to portray as our who I am, right? But then it's almost like, the two little,
Yeah,
it's like the evil and the good, and the
it's,
angel and the devil.
it's true.
It's like we have this negative self-talk
Yes.
that will continuously put us down, be the parent voice or the voice that we grew up with that was always, in the back of our mind, well, that you're never going to amount to anything anyway, or, that's going to lead to problems, or, the way that you dress is never going to help you with anything. All of these negative self-talk is going to come up for us.
True.
What is the best way to silence that? I
Yeah.
mean, you're saying you have it, we all have it. So, what is the best way when you start to hear that? Just for the listeners, because I know that we're going to have this, I'm going to put this mantra available for people so that they can actually practice this at home.
Yeah, that will be.
But when this negative self talk comes up, what do we do?
Well, you have to understand it's like it's a field. So what we do not know is that we are actually part of a whole, always.
Mm-hmm.
So that's also true for energy. Energy wise, we are part of the same energy. And what you're hearing is actually a field. But as soon as you start thinking mine, you are pulling that frequency within you. So the first thing you need to understand it's a field of energy. It is not you. So
Wow.
yeah, this is one of my major revelations because now I understand. So if I observe this field, but I'm not, doing this with it, I'm just observing it, going inside, breathing, connecting to the true self, and then asking it to be healed. It will dissolve.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as you move yourself, your attention, because your attention, your awareness, if you move it somewhere, you are moving your energy towards it. You're connecting your feeling world towards whatever you are focusing on. And you're pulling it into yourself. And then it will manifest itself through you into situations. And that's how it works. So you need to understand how energy works. I think that's the whole issue. It's all connected. Fear driven thoughts are never yours because the source of who you are is perfect. It's whole, complete, it's love. It cannot produce anything discordant. And that's why I keep it simple within my training because this consciousness in which we live is actually very, very layered. It has many, many layers. But if you start focusing on the wrong, I do it like this, wrong layers,
Mm-hmm.
you start feeding your life stream into it. You get caught in it. That's the astral world. The astral world is like this big molasses around the earth, which is produced by mankind, by us, by thinking negative things. It's like this big, gooey stuff. You can feel it, right?
Yes.
If you go into a city or go into a certain store that there's no windows and you come in there, you go like, if you're sensitive, you will feel it. We call it HSP in the Netherlands. Highly sensitive people,
Mm.
they feel the
It's
gooey.
It's so, so true. And it's part of like a lot of the new generation that's coming in, a lot of the children that have been diagnosed with ADHD or any types of on the spectrum. And they have come in with this really sensitivity to this energy field. And it's almost like we're saying, our world needs to wake up faster. Like we need to just go
100%. Yes.
right. We need to be acceptance of this. And Marjolijn, can you just tell me a little bit, just because I know that our listeners would like to learn more about this, because we have this negative self-talk that can be disturbing us, but then we can also have things that we've experienced in our subconscious as a traumatic event in our life that can keep replaying us, tripping us up, and bringing more chaos into our lives.
True.
How do we then address this trauma that we've gone through in our, we've all gone through trauma.
Okay, so if you're aware, so you have this awareness, this is pure awareness, this is you. But you have identified that awareness with the I in the head, right? This is what happened. And with the emotions that you have, and with the outside world. So you can also identify this awareness with a certain traumatic event. So then your awareness gets stuck within that time frame of the event. That's actually what happens. So you're
Yes.
stuck in there, and this time, the event is just being there all the time. You cannot let go. First of all, I think when you have a trauma that is related to this life, you need to address that with EMDR. So on
Okay.
because it's like
Explain that, please. What is EMDR?
EMDR is a release method to help you process, which you apparently did not process yet. That's why your system is constantly bringing it up. So your system is actually asking for help. That is what it's doing. So when you feel that trauma, it's a cry for help. Help me. So when you do EMDR, the therapist will help the system to process whatever is going on, why you get stuck in that memory. And it's a very easy and fast and very effective process because I'm an EMDR therapist myself. I'm not practicing anymore because I'm doing the training, but I know how it works. And it's like you have this cut in your hand and it will not heal. You have to go to a doctor. It will, it will help you clean the cut and stitch it up again so it can heal properly. That's what an EMDR therapist will do. And you need that. And then what you need to understand is we are all in karmic return.
Okay, before you get into the next
Yeah.
level, explain even just the words EMDR, what they stand for, and how this type of therapy for releasing trauma has come about. Because I think our listeners are really just diving. This is so it's so new for a lot of us. You know that you practice and train this every day,
Yeah.
but for a lot of us, we
It's
don't even
totally new.
realize that we have traumas, and we realize that they may be coming up, but there's we don't even know where to turn
I
to heal them.
understand. Right. So it's originally it's called EMDR. It's eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. So through eye movement, at first you just have to look at something and your eyes have to follow that while thinking of a picture of the trauma. So not going into the trauma itself, but identifying, like, can you make a photo of the trauma? Where are you? Where is the other person if there's another person in this picture? So what do you think? What is happening in that picture? What do you feel when you look at that picture? What do you think about that person in the picture? And there's always, listen, this is so interesting. There's always an I am connected to a trauma. Did you know that? On a deeper level, there's I'm a victim, or I am not enough, or I am weak, or I am whatever. So there's always an I am in the trauma, which is connected to your divine energy, to your source energy. So what happens is in a trauma, you have this I am, this belief connected, and then the energy will move through that and you will create more of the same. So that is why it's so essential to get that out of your system so you can reconnect to who you truly are and not have these beliefs constantly, um, you know, how do you say that? Twisting your energy.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, so for the listeners that are very intrigued on how they can reverse trauma using EMDR, how can they get in touch with you or your practitioners worldwide?
Well, worldwide, you can best go to someone in your own neighborhood. Just go to an EMDR therapist because there are lots of EMDR therapists or EFT. You can do. It's about the same. It's all about reprocessing the trauma, which is related to the now, in the present, in your present life. So you want to have that load of energy that is still connected to that out of your system, so you can breathe again. So that's the first thing you need to do if you have trauma.
And so that you don't repeat the cycle again.
Exactly. But in order to do that, you need to understand that in order for trauma to happen in your life, you have built up the energy within to create that. I'm going to have that land within you for a second. Because from an energy standpoint, it is this: the inner world creates the outer world. It's not the other way around. So if you're in a trauma, there has been an energy buildup out of your field of vision. That's true. You're not aware of this because I don't know if you know this, but we are only like 0.000% aware. Did you know this? We're such a
We
tiny
we
little
hardly use all our full capacity. Hardly.
nothing. We use nothing. So we don't know what's going on within in our system. We have no idea. And since we are, I'm brought up in the Western world, you have one life, YOLO, you only live once, which is not true. So my awareness has been a lot of personalities throughout eons and eons of lifetimes, has used energy to live, qualified its energy with imperfection, and that has been stored within my subconscious mind. And what happens is, and this is called samskara, if the outer world creates the perfect condition, the karma within will be activated and it will manifest itself. It's like a magnet on the outside, triggers the karma within, and it will manifest itself. But your mind will think it's the outside world because you cannot see it. It was already within me. So if you got rid of the first trauma layer, the first reaction to that trauma, you need to understand that you have a karmic return to face and you can clear that. And the clearing it is much more simple than you would ever think. Because part of our true self, part of our authentic self, there is a flame called the sacred fire, which is a power. It's not imaginary at all. And if you focus on the true self, if you start being calm, 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 opening up to who you truly are, and then calling forth this sacred fire, I call forth the sacred fire, as simple as that, to come and move through me and clear out everything that is related to the trauma I've experienced. I'm doing it in very simple words now. You can just do that. If you ask that, it will happen. And the sacred fire is love, wisdom, and power, which are powers, are not
Goodness.
concepts.
Okay, I think I'm feeling that for the audience and the listeners right now, I feel it would be amazing if we can just do that a
You want
little
to do
bit
it together?
slower, because this is a really powerful. I call it the violet flame, but you're
It
calling
is.
it.
The
It is
sacred, yeah, it's
so
the same.
powerful, and it cleans up all of this karmic
Yeah,
samskara. It cleans up, allowing us to forgive ourselves,
true.
those people that hurt us, and allowing to really clean our slate. So if we can just do that one more time, but in a slower movement, if you can just walk us through it, because, and for those that are listening in the car, be careful because we're asking you to close your eyes.
Yeah, don't do it in the car. Do it later. Just don't do it in the car. Not even the calling. Just listen and just be there. And when you're at home, you can go and sit. That's the first. You just sit. Sit somewhere you feel safe. That's you need that. Then put your hand on your heart. So you feel your hand. And then focus on the breath and breathe in. And allow yourself to really breathe in through your belly, not your shoulders. Don't go like that, but just through your belly. And take a moment. And I'm going to give you a really, really easy way to clear energy, but you need to do it a certain way. Do a couple of steps before you get there. I don't want to just throw you into the deep end. So just breathe. And focus your full attention on your heart area. And within that heart area, there's a flame within your heart. It's the heart's flame. It's where your life force energy comes into your body. Just pretend that you can feel it there or see it there, or however you want to experience it. Just be there within that heart's flame. And when you're there, send it love and gratitude. Just send it love. And if you cannot send it love because you think, well, my life hasn't been that great, then you may realize that it's not the heart's flame that has caused the problems in your life. It's the beliefs that you've accepted in your mind, in your feeling world, that have clothed your energy with imperfection, with discord. But here, within your heart's flame, that energy is pure, it is whole. So just focus your whole attention there and do not listen to any inner self-talk about this. And when you're there, you may realize that this is connected to the heart's flame of your higher self, which you do have. It's not a concept. And your higher self knows no imperfection. Your awareness is one-on-one connected to your true self, your higher self, your authentic self, which knows no imperfection, which will make it more easy to give love and thanks to the higher self, because the higher self is responsible for all the good, for all the true in your world, for all the love. And by sending love to your higher self, you are making yourself a magnet for the higher self. It will send that love amplified back to you. So just send your love in your own way. Just practice that, sending love to the presence of who you truly are. Making yourself that magnet, allowing the body to sit still. Allow that body to sit still. Opening yourself up. It's like you're calling your true self, but you need to wait for the answer. That's why you sit still. And you breathe that love, you breathe that gratitude towards your higher self. You know, your higher self is connected to the higher self of all your loved ones and everyone in incarnation. But it's also connected to aspects of the higher mind. Beautiful, beautiful aspects of the higher mind. And the higher mind is capable of resolving any issue you have in life. And life itself is a power. You're accessing now. You're accessing your life force energy right now, just by sitting still, breathing, sending love. So you do this for a couple of minutes until you feel you're calm, getting calmer and calmer. Peace, peace, be still. And then we can ask for protection. And I'm going to use the affirmation from Instant Healing, prayer 3, which is the prayer for protection. I'm going to do a short version, okay, Laurentine? Okay, say,
Yes.
the light of God surrounds me.
The light of God surrounds me.
Breathe in that light. This is the truth. You can say to yourself, this is the truth. Your mind may
This is
say,
the truth.
yeah, your mind may say something else, but this is the truth. The love of God enfolds me.
The love of God enfolds me.
Just be with that for a second. See if you can feel that. And if you do not feel this, say, make me feel this as a reality.
It makes me feel this as a reality.
The power of God protects me.
The power of God protects me.
The presence of God watches over me.
Say that again.
The presence of God watches over me.
The presence of God watches over me.
And all is well.
And all is well.
And just breathe in and be there for a moment, fully engaged with what you're saying. So this is what I'm saying. This is the truth of my being. And if you're not experiencing this as a truth, it's because your awareness has gotten stuck in error beliefs like a little fly in a web of a spider. And you have clouded, you have surrounded yourself with all kinds of beliefs that are not true. That's why you cannot feel it. But this is the truth of who you are. And then you can say, I acknowledge that. I acknowledge that I have a pure source, which I am.
I acknowledge that I have pure source, which I am.
That's the real me. It cannot create discord. So you turn your attention inward to that source of who you are, and you acknowledge that is me. That's my real self. The I in my head is language. That means that I've gotten it in the outside world. It's not who I am. Just acknowledge that. And in that acknowledgement, your consciousness will start opening up for the truth of who you are. And the first thing you need to do is ask for forgiveness, not because your true self needs to forgive you, because everything is always forgiven. There's nothing to forgive because in the true self, there is no discord. But forgiveness actually is an energy that cleanses you from your own guilt and shame. That is why you call on the law of forgiveness. And you do it like this: I call
I call
on the law of forgiveness
on the law of forgiveness
for all inharmonious action
for all inharmonious actions
and human creation
and human creation
with which I have misqualified
with which I have misqualified
life's perfection,
life's perfection,
and for turning away
and for turning away
from the light.
from the light.
And then wait, just breathe and wait. So, if you would repeat this in your own meditation, if you would just keep focusing on the heart, be still, repeat, wait, you will feel this enormous sense of relief. Things will just evaporate, dissolve. We won't do that now because we don't have enough time, because this you can do for an hour and then come out of this and feel totally free, right? So this is the first step you do. You ask, you call forth the law of forgiveness. And then you can start clearing out this karma which has caused the trouble in your life. You would do it like this: I call forth
I call forth
the violet consuming,
the violet consuming,
purifying flames,
purifying flames,
forgiving mercy
forgiving mercy
to come in and around me,
to come in and around me,
in and around this problem,
in and around this problem,
and love away
and love away
all that is the cause
all that is the cause
of my struggle and distress.
of my struggle and distress.
And you just sit with it. And you allow that violet flame, which is an energy, it's a power. Some people can see it as violet. You may sense it in your feeling world. You just sit with it and you allow it to burn away, to dissolve into the nothingness of what it truly is, the cause of all your troubles. And you can repeat that as long as you wish. And then when you feel it's finished, you can say something like this: I qualify
I qualify
this situation
this situation
with absolute perfection.
with absolute perfection.
And then you breathe in and out. And then you would end with love and gratitude.
With love and gratitude.
Thank you so much for clearing this.
Thank you so much for clearing this. And so it is.
And so it is.
And so it is.
So this is a short version.
I hear you. I know that that is a short version, but that is so powerful for our listeners, for ourselves to take part in, and for us to be able to have this information in our collective consciousness
Right.
now that you've spoken these words.
Right.
And for us to hear this and share this with our communities, it's a ripple effect that is going to cause
Oh,
and
thank
allow
you.
ourselves to have so much healing, forgiveness, and a state of happiness and peace.
Thank you
Because
so
that's really
much.
what we want.
Yeah.
That's where we want to end up in.
I'm on fire, actually. I'm just going,
Me too. I had so much violet in my eyes when I was seeing that.
I would love.
So much violet was showing up.
You have, if you're listening to this, if you're seeing this, you need to understand that this is a power. It's part of who
Yes.
you are. It's your part of your
Yes.
essence, and you can access it when you go into the stillness of that breath and start breathing that love towards your presence. You're opening up yourselves to your true self, which is all powerful. And if
Wow.
you can do this, at first you need to sit down in meditation because you need to train yourself to have that focus. You need to learn how to protect yourself energetically. You need to
Mm.
learn how to wake up these powers within. And then when you're mastering them, what you will find is you will be able and that's street smart spirituality. This is what I call street smart spirituality, that when you are in a certain situation, in a certain circumstance, and you're feeling, this is totally discordant all around me, in that moment, you can just go in and you can call forth that violet flame. You can call forth that protection. You can call forth that forgiveness. And in that moment, you can see the energy released. And around you, it will harmonize. That is what this world needs. People who know how to access their higher powers and how to use them for the good of all. That's what we need. And you see a lot of, in Holland right now, you see a lot of people teaching others how to manifest, which is part of this whole process. But if you do what I just told you, what will happen is your higher self will start to manifest your true divine plan through you, which is always the right thing, which is always good and loving and wonderful and healthy and abundant and all of that. You do not have to focus on the outer world, focus on the inner world. Because
That's true. And it's a beautiful mantra that I use as well myself. I actually really call upon source energy and white light energy. And I ask, please clear off anything that's no longer serving me and bring forth anything that is in our highest good.
that. And you don't know as a person what that is because
Just don't know.
no, our vision is just like this. So, if that's the whole point, you need to start trusting that you have this power within, which is only good. Only good. This is who we are. This is so mind blowing, don't you think that we
Right,
are?
right? I can talk about this for
Me
days. It's
too.
so powerful.
I do it all the time. Because this is what I sense. This is what the world needs. Because if you understand, energy follows focus. That's the law of life, the law of first cause. Energy follows focus. The inner
Mhm,
world creates the outer world. We have a
mhm.
higher mind. That higher mind is one and only one. It cannot create discord. If you can access that, you will activate the frequency of the higher self and it will start building itself up. It will start building momentum and it will
Yes.
become more
And,
powerful. It will,
and it's as simple as having a dialogue with it, being able to connect with it and have a dialogue with it, because that is how we communicate with our higher mind.
right. That's how we become one again. Because we have divided ourselves, that's not me. No, it is you. That is you. This is not you.
Mm,
This is not you.
well said.
It's true.
Okay, so if our listeners want to get more involved with your work and even partake in your academy, how do they get to you and how do they reach out? And what websites do we get to?
imacademy.nl. If you go there, you will find an English version, and we are in the process of making like an English meditation that you can download freely so you can start experiencing what I just shared with you. And we are in the process of making an English program, especially for English, speakers. So to understand, because it's, I just did the simple version of how to do a meditation, but there's a lot of stuff that you can cognitively learn that will
Mm,
help you to use your spiritual discernment to see, okay, so I have this awareness, but what am I, where does this information come from that is coming to me, and on what do I act upon and what do I not act upon? You need to understand there's a lot of information coming to you, and its origin is not always source. So
Wow.
how do you discern what is source and what is not source?
Yes.
And
There's even techniques, right, with our bodies where we can actually ask our bodies, move forward if this is source and move backwards if this is not source, and our bodies will know. Just like our body has an innate healing capacity, our bodies
exactly,
have the energy, and the energy, if we connect with that energy, we have the right choices and the answers, they
exactly.
come to us.
The biggest difference between everything that I've done and all the meditations that I've done before this is we use such a thing as it's called dynamic application.
Hmm.
So dynamic application means when you go inside and you're in that stillness, you open yourself up to source and you ask source to help. You need to direct that energy. And that is because you have free will, how to use your energy.
That's right.
That's it. That's why God never interferes with man's choices, because it's your choice. You are the creator of your reality. That's a,
But if you instruct, that's why I'm saying this is so important to have this dialogue. If you
right,
instruct your God consciousness to help you make the right decision,
right.
flow will come back again in your life.
Everything will be harmonized. And I had
Yes.
so much discord in my life. I haven't seen my parents for, I think, maybe 6 or 8 years after, because of my spiritual involvement. It
Wow.
just blew up. And I was outside of my family. My sister and my brother, my father and my mother, they were all in Apeldoorn, which is on the other side of the country. And I was living in Haarlem, which is near Amsterdam, with my 2 kids in a divorce. And, we haven't spoken for so many years. It was ridiculous now in hindsight. If I had known I could have used the violet flame, I know that 6 years would not have been 6 years. It would
Oh,
just, I started using the violet flame, and in no time, everything was just harmonized. So I was so thankful that my system opened up for this information, and I got over my whole resistance on the word God, because I had a lot of, no, God, no, 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 no. But now I'm so thankful because we are part of God
and I
consciousness.
can hear it even in myself. Like, I'm very much, I talk with my higher consciousness, and I actually call it God, and I'm okay with it. But even when you were saying this, I'm thinking, oh God, what are the listeners going to
Yeah,
say, or
exactly.
think when you're using this language? Because we have been so trained that there are so much different type of connotations with the word God.
That's it.
And it's so beautiful that you're just wholeheartedly using it without any pain, fear, suffering as attached to that. And
Not
you are just
anymore. Not anymore. I had to do work for that.
right.
Yeah, I had to do work for that because I had so much pain around the word God, because
Yes.
I blamed God for so many things. I didn't realize that.
Wow.
So I used the violet flame and it just burned. The thing is this: the violet flame cannot burn away that which is true. So
Mm.
that which is true will always exist.
Will always stay strong.
Yes. And that's why you can use it easily. So I just called forth the violet flame to burn away everything that I thought about God, which was not true. That's it.
So good.
And it,
So good. So
yeah,
good.
it restores your relationship with your true parent, because that's your true parent. It's Father, Mother, God. It is your true parent, and it will parent you the way parenting should be.
And it's a lot less responsibility that you have as a parent then, because you're like, well, I'm here as a divine child of God, but we're all God consciousness.
Right.
I say that to my children as well. Like, I know you have the right answers inside of you. And they're like, my mom, like, how do you say that? Because that's not a being a parent. And I'm like, no, these children has come in with their own divine
Right.
consciousness. They know how to make the right decisions.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. And if they stay
All right, so
connected.
Marjolijn, unfortunately, we're coming to the end of our beautiful podcast interview, and I know that the listeners will probably have so many more questions, and I certainly do too, because it opens up a world of new beliefs and how. Gosh, I have to think about my language. I mean, we've learned today already about NLP and how we can affect our language and how the words that we speak have such a powerful influence in our life and what we attract. And then we learned about EDMR and how EFT is also another way.
Yeah.
And how EFT can really help to release stuck traumas. And we do it all the time. You know, I do it with the kids, I do it with James, and we have a lot of like EFT tapping points that we just go to and call upon when we go into fear state, or when we go into negative beliefs, and we go into triggers, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's very powerful. And then we learn about the violet flame, the eternal flame, and the source flame inside of us that can clear out karmic debt, our samskaras, and even allow ourselves to forgive ourselves and those that have harmed us.
True.
Wow. It's been such an incredible interview. Thank you so much for sharing wisdom.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for the I Am Academy and the book that's come out. And I really want to make sure that our listeners jump on your website and get access to this podcast and this the meditations that you provide, which will soon be in English as well, and all of your work. So
thank you so much.
Again. Thank you for your time and thank you for your energy. We love this.
Thank you, team. And thank you for everyone who was listening and was open to it, because I think this is the healing of the world, actually. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Marjolijn. Have a beautiful day.
You too.
And we'll speak to you soon.
Bye-bye.
So yes, thank you everyone for listening. I really enjoyed that talk. I hope you did too. And there will be more of these on the Food Matters podcast. So head to foodmatters.com and see you again.